Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fridays at 4 on twitch.tv/DDO stream. I'm your community manager, Cordovan. With you for the next hour, hanging out, having some fun, doing some Q&A. We will have the latest news from the world of Dungeons & Dragons Online. If you're watching this afterwards on YouTube, thank you so much for joining us. Give us a like if you would, and give us a subscription if you want to see these videos or this cat head in your subscription feed. How y'all doing this afternoon? Hope you're doing pretty good. It's a beautiful sunny summer day here in Massachusetts, and we have got a freebie for you this week, so let's go get to the game news right away. Well, relatively right away. Here we go. My transition scenes are being slow, but here we are. So the first thing I want to mention is that the Year of the Dragon June gift has officially kicked off. That started on Wednesday when we brought the Game Worlds up from our longer than expected downtime, and it continues through July 30th. So you can speak to Zathrall in the Eberron Hall of Heroes to get your Dragon Hatchling pet for your account for free. And everybody, free account, premium, VIP, whatever, you can all get this Year of the Dragon gift through July 30th. So we're actually doing this, this one's a little bit longer than the past Year of the Dragon gifts. We're going through July 30th rather than the Wednesday prior to that. It's because the next gift for Year of the Dragon is actually going to kick off on the 31st, that Wednesday, which, if you know, if you've been to our Magic and Myth Draenor expansion page, that is what we're saying our release date's going to be. We'll see if we end up hitting it, but hopefully we will. And so that'll be happening then on July 31st. And there we are. But you can speak to Zathrall in the Eberron Hall of Heroes to get your Dragon Hatchling pet. And I'm actually going to do that live here in a minute before we go into the rest of our gameplay. But the other thing I did want to call out is that next Monday, according to my calendar, it is July 1st, and that means our next VIP loyalty reward program will kick off on Monday. So, starting on Monday, you will be able to get that VIP bag of many things if you have progressed your way furthest along the VIP loyalty reward track. If you're not a part of it, you'll start with your sign-up bonus, and after the first of the first month, you'll get that 500 DDO points, but a whole bunch of you have already done that in May, and you picked up the first month completed in June, and that means starting July 1st, you will get your bag of many things. You'll be speaking to the NPC in the Hall of Heroes, and let's see, where... I'm trying to think of the name right now. Oh yeah, Violet Peregrine in the Eberron Hall of Heroes, sort of over by the statue for Byron Scout Sword. Violet Peregrine is the NPC you're going to want to speak to come Monday to pick up your VIP bag of many things. That'll let you select from a raid bypass timer, ethereal rest shrine statuette, flawless Sybaris dragon shard, sentient XP gem, glamour dust, mirror of glamoring, omnispell dust, or legendary raid bypass timer. You can find out more about the VIP loyalty reward program on DDO.com. Did want to mention we do have some special sales happening this week as well. Let me get that up on the screen. Our sales this week are our second to last summer sales. We're doing special sales every week through July 11th. This week you can get 30% off the Tabaxi race, 50% off the Razor Claw Shifter Iconic Hero, 50% off the Tome of Universal Enhancement Tree Action Points +1, all of them except for the most recent Vecna one is my understanding on that, and 75% off Tomes of Fate. That is through July 4th. We have our final week kicking off on July 4th, and I know that we've been getting a lot of feedback about things you'd like to see on sale. I know some of those things are currently planned for next week, so we will have that information. Yeah, it's a big U.S. holiday, but we'll be publishing our sales that Thursday anyway, and so there we go. We'll have more information about that summer sales last week next week, starting on Thursday. Also, it's our Make Your Mark on the World sale, so you can get things like Caneth Essences, Select Marks, Success Boosters, collectible crates through the 4th. And then I did want to call out the weekly coupon this week as well. It's a 25 stack of Sun Flasks. maybe that doesn't matter much to you, but if you get a Lobby, like the character I'm going to be running here on the stream today, these things are pretty darn effective. So, maybe you want to get 25 of them for free. That is, have a blast, and you can do that through July 4th. Otherwise, our bonus this weekend is a 40% challenge rewards boost, and that goes through June 30th. Let me get my audio and game going. Oh, speaking of which, hopefully you can hear me okay. I had kind of a bad audio day on the Lotra side at noon here today, so I spent a little bit of time trying to sort through it for the DDO side stream today. So hopefully you can hear me okay and everything is going all right. I will need to double check on how much the Sentient XP is. It'll be whatever we said it was going to be in that forum thread. Is that 6,000, I think? Off the top of my head, I think we said 6,000. But it'll be whatever we stated it was going to be in that forum thread. Thank you so much, Forehand. I'm just taking a look at chat here real quick.
Don't forget your dad joke.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a dad joke. My son is saying I need to incorporate a dad joke every week, but I don't know that I actually have a dad joke for today.
Look up some.
Yeah? I don't know. I suppose I could do a quick Google search for dad jokes and call that done. But let's actually go. I'm on Sarlona here. I'm right in front of Zatharol. This is where you're going to claim this month's reward for Year of the Dragon. I haven't actually done it yet for the Red Dragon Wormling Creature Companion. So there we go. Now I've got it on my account, and let's summon said Wormling. I have a lot of pets. Where is that? That's the imp. I think I might actually need to log out and in quick to claim it. Yeah, that's the pseudo dragon. All right, well, I'll have to do it next time. I'm not logging out and logging in right now, but that's all you have to do. Just claim it there. I ran out of time. I was hoping to get some questing in this week and not be level 3 for the live stream here on Friday on this Wild Mage Sorcerer, but I just ran out of time this week. So I did get a little bit of work done, but not too much. So what I'm going to do is just continue my Lobby stuff for hopefully next week's show. I'm either going to pop an autos or we'll see, do whatever. If I can get some level up time, I'll do it that way instead. But either way, we're going to do some low-level questing here for the stream today on this Wild Mage. And I thought what I would basically do is just run Borderlands, keep on the Borderlands stuff. You ran out of food and you had to steal from your neighbor's next-door herb garden. You are living on borrowed time. THYME. That's good. I like it. I like it. Nimvind, I have no doubt that you can come up with quite the few dad jokes. I don't think we can have an official dad joke writer, though, on staff. Perhaps if we had the money for that, we would be better off doing something else with said cash. Although being able to say that you're getting paid for funny money is pretty good too. So, you know, I can appreciate that. Question about bug reporting. You have submitted a lot of bug reports and have posted them in the forum discussion thread. Your question is, do the developers who would fix the bugs look at the forum discussion, or is it a waste of time? It is not a waste of time, but if you don't have the bug report number in your forum thread, that's why we try to have that field there for the bug reporting forum. That's why I added it. If you don't have the bug report number, then it's a pain in the butt to try to associate a forum post to a bug in the bug reporting system without a bug report number. So do that. If you're gonna write up a bug report, the bug reporting system is where it needs to go. Ultimately, what'll happen if someone sees a forum thread and they want to take action on it, we have to do the work to fill out that bug report if you have not, and then start processing it. So it's far better to post in our bug reporting system than on the forums, but if all you're going to do is the forums, it's better to be there than nowhere. But it is largely not actionable unless there is an associated bug report with it, or we have the time to do that work ourselves. So my suggestion is include the bug number if you're going to put it on the forums, and actually write up a real bug report rather than just sort of put it on the forums is the best way to go. But they do read it. I read it too. It's probably just as often that I read it and then kick it to them as they read it and then take action independently. A lot of times the bug reporting forum is a decent first place to start the process of getting a bug addressed, rather than, say, the best place to get a bug addressed. But it is a place, and like I said, it's better to have something rather than nothing. So
a monster attack has reduced this farm.
I wanted to quick pick up that little XP on my way over there. It's always best if you have an update to a submitted bug report to reply to the bug report form and add it that way. That way, when a developer is actually investigating the bug report, they can take a look and have the latest information.
Dot the ravine walls. These must be the Caves of Chaos, where the cultists and their monster allies have made their base.
Because I am not a rogue, I've got a rogue hireling here. We are going to be getting that issue fixed, Dark Wolfer. There's an issue where if you have an orb or a shield and you're offhand and you're on the flying carpet, you sort of swing the carpet. That's a bug that is in the system. I believe it's already fixed for our next patch. And that next patch is currently set for the week after next. So next week, because of the July 4th holiday in the United States, I don't think we're going to have a patch. But the week after should be our next game update, and that'll be 68.1, and should include a fix for that issue. All right. Yeah, it's an animation bug, though. It's something we would want to get fixed, I think. Speaking of Galanda distillate,
goblin dies, you notice something glittering in the debris under the makeshift wooden walkway. The lock on this stout door does not.
So I have a cat butt right over where your chat is. I'm having a hard time seeing your chat. So if I'm leaning over, that's what's up with that. So, yeah, that's a bit of news that we could mention. I think that it's basically done at this point, but we are in the process of doing Lamania previews for Magica Myth Draenor, and this week we were able to do our first content preview that included 3 of the quests, so that's cool. And we do have more Lamania previews set for the coming weeks. Oh, I'm dancing. They're dancing too. We're all dancing on this Friday. I'm actually enjoying this Wild Mage Sork. I've talked several times on the live stream here that I'm not really a big Sork player. Through all these years, I really have not played many sorcerers at all. And so this is a bit of a, not a first, but first I played in years at this point.
Crystal flares to life as the lever is pulled.
But I'm digging it.
Somewhere
I am
in
digging
the tunnels, another crystal respawns.
Any ETA on when we can see gear for Myth Draenor on Lamania? Has the gear been created already for the most part? It is in the process of being created. A lot of it tends to be stats first, names later. And so I think it's in the stats part at this point, with the names TBD.
The red crystal begins to glow, and the sound of stone scraping on stone echoes out from the goblin's common area. A foul stench wafts out from this newly opened cavern.
There we go. Have we ever considered expanding adventures like Borderlands? That idea of quests in the open adventure area, for example, there could be something to do at that hunting lodge, or we could save someone kidnapped by lizard folk, things like that. It's true that we haven't done a lot of that. We've done a little bit over the years. For example, there were some quests added to Searing Heights. So we have, in fact, actually done a little bit of that. Perhaps not as much as we could. So I would never say never on it. There is the business reality that if, say, Borderlands is behind a purchase and any further development done
As the door opens,
isn't additional revenue, but is instead just existing revenue, to expand an existing purchase,
the goblin falls.
then, you have to be kind of careful how often you do that so that you can keep the business going. But assuming you can make that all work out, then sure. I can't remember, I think I need to... No. So it's tricky, but we have done it a little bit over the years, and I would say it's possible that it could happen again.
This heavy iron-bound door is fitted with an unpickable magical lock. The door swings open on well-oiled hinges, startling the hobgoblins on the far side.
Trying to think of where else we might have done that over the years. We did that. I mean, in some ways, we've done that in the Sharn space, right? Because there's the quest there, and there's that other quest pack that takes place in
You hear the sounds of guttural
Moorgrave
chanting
Lower
coming
Quad
from
as well,
chamber
most
ahead.
recently. So but that's a separate quest pack. So, you know, reusing a space for sure we could do. Now with Borderlands, however, there is the reality that the content is gated behind a quest pack. So, as opposed to Sharn where it's
A
a
magical barrier
public area.
seals off the passage. Perhaps the magical runes on the wall are the key to opening it.
I don't know whether the Magic of Mythtrunner expansion release, which would be update 69, is going to include a UI fix that would allow us to open up or to teleport to Gatekeeper's Grove from the Guild airship. I haven't heard. Seems possible, however.
Something about this section of the wall seems off. The wall in the armory slides open, making barely a sound. The hobgoblin chieftain lurches out of his throne with a roar. The hobgoblin chieftain slumps to the ground, dead.
Now that I'm a caster, I actually have a use for all this caster gear, even if it is a lobby item. Oh, I don't have that, so let me go get that. Also, welcome to the Raiders, Sarge USA, nice to see you. Hey, Baklagor, things are doing pretty good. Should be beautiful weather here today. Should be a nice weekend. And I'm gearing up for a pretty exciting mail delivery for little old nerdy me. Yes, I'm getting some Atari stuff in the mail.
Small, squalid cave entrances dot the ravine walls. These must be the
Supposed to
caves
be
of
either
chaos,
today or
where the
tomorrow,
cultists
except I
and
think
their
it's
monster
tomorrow.
allies have made their base. Most of the kobolds scramble to defend their cave at the sight of you, while one of their number scampers away.
Nicely done, May.
You slide through the muck and refuse into a pool of stagnant slough. It's just not your day. You spy a humongous rat on top of a pile of garbage. It shrieks at you, and its many vassals emerge from the shadows. Now that king rat is dead, long
Yay.
live the new king. You. The first order of business might as well be to survey your domain.
Alright. Yay. There we are. Computer monitor issue here. Just a second. Alright. I must have a loose connection on one of my monitors. It keeps going out.
An elderly kobold rouses her tribe for battle to defend their home. The kobolds that rally appear stronger and more panicked than the ones you fought before.
I don't think I actually have... Oh, I have a rogue with me. Okay. The monitor is suffering from wild magic. Probably. Actually, this monitor has been a problem. It's an old monitor. I use 3 monitors. They're all side by side, but they're all kind of older, cheaper monitors. So they're starting to kind of go. If I ever do it again, I'm going to spend the full amount of money and get 3 of the same monitor and have them all nice so they can fit perfectly next to each other. Now I could just get one super long or wide monitor, but I don't actually want that. I kind of like 3 separate monitors. And 3 is the minimum number for me, just so you know. I need 3 monitors. 2 doesn't get the job done. Okay, you have a concern. Belgorod says that the new Magic Myth Trainer gear will make some of the other expansion gear at endgame obsolete. How is the dev team approaching this problem, if at all? I think that we have found that while there should be an expectation that new loot is better than old loot, some named items will retain their value beyond their typical level range. And since we're going beyond the prior level range with the Magic and Myth Trainer, we're going up to 34 instead of 32, it makes perfect sense that the level 34 gear is going to be better than level 32 gear. I think if there's an expectation that I've got this named item and it will forever be useful, sorry, that's just not typically how it goes for endgame. Endgame gear in particular is going to be driven by the newest, best, highest level gear. And so, like an idea that, you know, level 25 gear should still be valuable at endgame because you put a bunch of work in it back when the level cap was whatever. I mean, that would be nice, but that's just sort of not how it works for the most part. Although it does work that way sometimes. There are, we still see some people looking at shroud gear, for example, and using some of the legendary shroud stuff, even though that is now long beyond its typical lifespan. So it's true. I'm sorry to say that it is true that the newer loot will be better than the older loot, and the higher level loot will be better than the lower level loot, and that is the reality of video games and game development. So sorry if you just want your gear to remain the best, but it's not just game design either. There are commercial reasons for it. And it's not just commercial reasons either. There are game design reasons for it. And those reasons tend to be that people want to play... If you want to be successful with newer content, it needs to have appealing loot. And appealing loot typically means higher level loot, or better loot than what you've been using previously. It's not always the case. For example, in Saltmarsh. But then again, if you think about it, Saltmarsh received a fair amount of criticism because the loot wasn't good enough. And what they meant by it wasn't good enough was it's not better than what I already have. And so, there is a certain reality that's just how this stuff goes.
Guttural voices in the distance.
But
the stout iron lock on this door looks as though it would be impossible to pick.
what the goal is, though, and I think the practical impact of, is that valuable loot still does often retain some value, whether it's for a character who is going back through the level range that it's relevant in again as part of their reincarnation process, or even in some cases you'll have lower level gear that will still be used at endgame. Even if statistically in a few areas maybe it's a little lesser, it's also better in some ways than what people have. Or it offers a specific benefit, for example, that might not be available yet at a certain level band.
The iron lock,
and there is still good gear in Saltmarsh. But we did see that feedback quite loudly and solidly when Saltmarsh came out, and that was an attempt at doing appealing horizontal progression rather than vertical progression on loot. But the idea that there should never be vertical progression that obsoletes existing top-end gear just isn't the reality of how it works. So you do your best on horizontal progression, especially when you're releasing content that isn't part of a level cap increase. And, Vecna is a good example of that, perhaps. And Vecna has had, desirable loot, and loot that has been criticized some as well. So you try to make as many people happy as you can, for as long as you can. But it's a bit of an uphill battle.
The image of a small silver key is embossed on this surprisingly well-crafted lock. As the silver lock clicks open, you hear the muffled voices of bugbears ahead.
And if you hate what I'm saying, well, at least I'm not the person who makes the loot. Hello. My son's got the cat up to the camera here. Cat cam. Cat cam.
No, this is just floating.
Huddled humans dressed in rags flinch away from the door as you open it.
My cat gets really angry on Fridays, because this is normally her take me outside time. And I am not taking her outside. This is not acceptable. So, yeah. So you do, I mean, the person who is concerned about having their hardly fought for and hard to acquire in some cases endgame loot remain valuable is a certainly valid concern as well. We don't want to, we want to make as best a balance as we can between desirable loot that lasts for a long time and loot that also doesn't become the one and only that will ever fill up a space. Because that could be problematic as well, right? If you've got loot that ends up being too powerful, essentially, because 10 years later it's still the only thing that anyone's wearing, then that means that as a loot designer, you have a limited ability to come up with something that is going to better, it's going to be attractive, right? Like, imagine if the Blade of Jack Gibbers was a piece of armor,
As the second lever is pulled,
and then you're trying to make
you hear
other
the
armor
rumble of the
valuable.
sealed
It
door
can be tricky.
sliding open. As the door opens,
also I think
you
listen.
see several humans in chains crouching against the walls.
So it's a tricky, tricky thing for loot people to get right, and oftentimes I think we do, frankly, and sometimes perhaps the opinion is that we did not, and we do the best we can to try to make that stuff as appealing as we can for as long as we can for the most amount of people and
As you
variety
open
of
the door,
builds that we
a
can.
massive bugbear growls and attacks. As the chieftain dies, you notice a small ornate key on the table in the far corner of the room.
Well, look at that. That's, I mean, they call it a small ornate key, but I'm seeing it about the size of my head. Just to be clear, it's a pretty big key as far as I'm concerned. Imagine if your car key was that size.
The door to the treasury opens
Actually,
with
give
a
us some food.
satisfying click.
To sort of open up a can of cat food, have a can in.
Outside or have food. I'm not sure.
Well, try the food thing first.
Alright.
The large
Do I
rusty
need
lock
to
on this
move
chest
food
looks
can,
like
or
it could be picked.
can I already use one?
Yeah, just open up a new one.
Alright.
I don't know whether I've got one or not. But once you get that can open, I assume she
Or
will.
maybe she wants attention.
Yeah, that could be too.
Because
Well, I guess I shouldn't talk so much about rings. I'm getting all the rings in the world here.
well, that's good.
Yeah.
Lizzie just wants attention. Yep, she just wanted attention.
Oh yeah? Cool. Four monitors. Now that's just crazy. No, I'm kidding. That's perfectly fine.
What about a 16 monitor setup?
Fearing for
Yeah,
their
it needs, you
lives,
need at
the
least 6
people of the
monitors.
keep have asked for your
No,
help.
2
to
layers
save the orc
high,
tribes
3
that dwell
layers deep.
inside this cave.
No, you
Judging
need
from
16.
the decor, each direction leads to a different tribe's home.
Don't ask me what you'd use it for.
The wall here is decorated with the skulls of elves, humans, and dwarves, in various stages of decay. The Ash Tusk like to display their brutality. This is the armory of the Ash Tusk clan.
Just wanted that.
Without weapons and armor, the tribe will be much less dangerous.
Yeah, well, you know, I can't quite do that, though, can I? All right. Do I make my hireling run through the minefield and undermine? Yes-ish. No, I'll park the hireling over, and that'll sometimes work. But I also don't not make my hireling run through the minefield, so, you know. I mean, you know, that was their decision. Oh, actually, there's no chest. I don't actually know what you're talking about, Wanderlust TV. I'm sorry. Double picking it up, huh? I'm going to say generally having something that should only be picked up once be able to be picked up more than once is probably not intended. But whether that's an exploit or a bug, I would need further detail on it. And why you would want to do such a thing, I think also matters. Oh, the docent that kills you on the second touch in Prison of the Plains. You don't even need to die, do you? You don't need to die.
There's now only one way to go. Forward.
So why would you need to do that?
That's fine with you.
I don't understand why you would need to
This
do
cave is said
that.
to contain much treasure. A burly minotaur stands behind a magical barrier, guarding a pile of treasure. Always more. Always more. The minotaur snorts. Greed draws you adventurers like moths to the flame. Have fun starving in my cave with the treasure just out of reach. This crest matches one of the sockets on the Minotaur's barrier. There must be more somewhere in the cave.
No, this cloak is the new Red Wizard cloak. It's available with your pre-purchase Magicka Myth Draenor.
The webs that cover the walls of this part of the cave quiver for an instant. Then, a massive spider lunges out of the shadows.
Yeah, I guess I would need more info on that Vaughn 3 thing. I don't... I mean, I know what you're talking about. Or Prison of the Plains thing. Did you say Vaughn 3 or Prison of the Plains? Oh, Prison of the Plains, right. Yeah, I don't know. You don't even need to, so... don't. But in general, I would think something like that, like if something could be interacted with more than once, and the hireling can interact with it, that's probably fine, I would think. Because you would just be doing what you'd normally be doing, and if the hireling is okay with interacting with it, that seems like that would be fine. But again, a lot of it depends as to the why. I don't think I've had that search before. Alright.
This should be enough crests to fill all of the sockets on the Minotaur's barrier.
Yay, it's like I'm on my Acolyte again. Or Dark Apostate, I mean.
With all three crests neatly fitted into their sockets, the magical barrier fades. The infuriated Minotaur gives a roar of rage and attacks. The Minotaur's bellow is cut short as it collapses. Now the treasure the
So you know what's kind of fun? My son has been playing some tabletop D&D with me. I've been the DM for, I guess you could call it maybe a mini summer campaign. So we've been doing some actual tabletop D&D. We did that last weekend, and that was a really good time. Got some cool stuff happening there. That's all right. It's been fun. And he's playing Sork for that. Speaking of hardcore, there's a group of players who are organizing their own hardcore for the live game worlds. I believe they're going to be on Wayfinder starting July 1st. You can find out more about that in the DDO forums. They're doing, honor system style hardcore, mini hardcore league, and I will be. Actually, you know what? I need to get them some points before I stop today, so that they've got points ready for next week's thing. Am I excited for D&D 2024? I am. I've been watching the videos that they've been putting out on their YouTube channel, and it's been pretty cool to watch. I also am looking forward to some of the new things that they're doing as a result of it. There's that what's the formal name of it? The Bastion system seems real cool. I'm down for that. Curious to see how that all works out. And I'm also pretty excited that it's Greyhawk based. Should be pretty neat as an old first edition person. Well, how they're going to kill Mister? I don't think they are, right? If it's Greyhawk based.
Something large and dangerous has lived in this cave for some time. But the flicker of torchlight ahead suggests that there have been.
I mean, not that there aren't going to be other campaign settings, but my understanding is the core rules, according to their announcement, are based in Greyhawk by default. And yes, I do expect that means potentially we can stop pretending that, what did I say? No, not pretending. We can stop having some of our quests that are classic in nature that took place in Greyhawk be in mysterious worlds that are unnamed. Like, look, as we'll see.
The cult of evil chaos has set up camp in this cave, with the goal of capturing and taming the beast that lives within.
I haven't yet pre-ordered the set yet. I'm kind of hoping that we can get a digital copy for free, but I haven't actually. I don't know if that's true or not. But I will probably be. I think I'll probably end up springing for the paper and digital, even if honestly these days I'm not even really doing a lot of paper. Although we did this past weekend, which was kind of cool actually. I actually had my 5th edition Player's Handbook out and being used. It's cool. Was using a real pencil on real paper.
Oh no!
I know, it's crazy. Although I'm actually lying. It wasn't a pencil I was using, but rather a Fisher Space Pen.
That's still better.
It counts. Because it's called a Space Pen.
Well, pen still counts. It's basically a reusable pencil.
That's true. But not everything can be called a space pen. That's my main point. It's used by freaking astronauts, man. Real astronauts. Also, why?
Is there astronaut hair in it?
I don't know. Okay, let me remind myself what I'm doing. Here we go. No. What am I looking for? Why do I feel like I don't know what I'm doing? Okay. Here we are.
With the
Fools!
Beastmaster
The
defeated,
beast will tear you to
Luna must
shreds.
confront the creature he tried to tame.
We'll have to see about that, buddy. So I appreciate what you're saying, Darkweather, although I don't think, especially when it comes to campaign setting rulebooks, and I think that longtime D&D players, all the way all from first, second, third, fourth, whatever,
You
can reuse that stuff.
Inside the cavern chamber ahead.
you know, the lore of
Also
the
see
settings
the
doesn't
nest of
necessarily,
something much larger.
you know, is not really impacted by the mechanics of a particular edition. So your, you know, your fourth edition Eberron campaign guide is, other than some statistical and class building differences, is perfectly fine to utilize in whatever edition you're using. So I think that there, and let's,
Slain the hour bearer,
seems
ending the
pretty
cult's
likely that
plan
it's not
to
like
make
they're
the
getting
beast
rid of
into a
Forgotten
weapon
Realms
they
or
could
anything.
use against
They're
the
just going to have a
residents of the
separate
valley.
rulebook that you can use at some point in the future. So until then, if you're like, I don't want to play Greyhawk, I'm sure you don't have to. I'm sure you could just play whatever setting you want. Am I doing Fridays at 4 next week? I am. It's probably going to be an abbreviated one. It's probably going to not be particularly chock full of new information, since we will all, except for me, largely have been on vacation for about half the week. So, but we will have the new sales. We'll have our last week of the summer sales, and we'll have information perhaps about the following week's patch. We'll probably have a little bit more that I can talk about, maybe about the Lamania plans, things like that. So should have some pretty good stuff to talk about. And I actually have a bit of news, community news, that I'm hanging off on announcing yet until it's a little bit further along. But if possible, I may have something for next week related to that as well. I think I'm actually going to wrap up the show here today. So thank you so much for watching Fridays at 4 on twitch.tv/DDOstream. These shows are archived over on YouTube afterwards. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks so much. If you want to give us a like, it helps spread the word about the channel and the show. And if you want to subscribe, you'll get these videos in your subscription feed. Have a great weekend, everyone, and I will talk to you all again soon. Bye-bye.